Thanks, all set.
Yeah. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, I noticed. Is there anyone here that has a question, an issue, or a concern that they would like to raise with this board before we start our public meeting? Yes, sir. Please stand and state your name.
Name is Jay Pristash.
Yeah.
I'm a resident of the town of DeWitt for 22 years straight now. I grew up here in DeWitt. I'm here because I'd like to comment on a presentation that was made to the board a couple of weeks ago by a gentleman representing Eves. While I don't necessarily think that the town board contracting with Eves is necessarily a bad idea, I don't really know the ins and outs of it. My comment about the presentation itself is this, is number one, I suspect that that gentleman may, and I stress may, have a financial interest if Eves expands, which is fine. The concern I had was that several times during the conversation and the presentation, he implied or basically stated that contract with Eves to cover the whole town, and then you may or may not pick and choose the mutual aid calls that you would assist with. Now, I spent 31 years with the state police, 7 of which I was the administrative captain for the entire Troop D area. I spent 2 years as the emergency preparedness coordinator at the state fair. I was an assistant commissioner for the New York State Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. I know emergency management and emergency planning, and mutual aid is the foundation of those of emergency planning and for properly caring for the people in this community. So I just would stress to you that the idea that once you have this built out, that you're going to be able to pick and choose who you help, when you help, is a very slippery slope. You have a mass casualty incident, everybody's going to come. But it's those times when your particular assets and agencies are stressed, you're not going to want to deal with the town of Manlius saying, well, you know, you didn't help us on this time, so we're not going to help you on that time. I just think that it's very myopic to make decisions based on a few of the things that were said. That being said, I have nothing against Eves, and if it makes financial sense and it's good protection for the community, that's fine. But please don't make those decisions based on that one presentation. I thank you for your service to the community, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak.
I want to thank you for such excellent comments. That's great input. If you want to follow up with an email, I would accept that as well, so that it would go into the written record. These comments will go into the record but definitely, I don't believe it's my intent or anybody on this board to ever fail to participate in mutual aid. So, you know, it's our understanding of this is an area, again, that we are researching and looking at. I'm a strong proponent of the expansion of Eves throughout the town for a number of other reasons, but certainly mutual aid is not something on the table.
Also, based on my watching the YouTube video, he made mention of that.
And
At least twice.
and we might need him to,
selling
you
point.
know, we might need him to clarify his comments on that, but I asked him to give that presentation again as part of the research that this board is conducting on that issue. I have a meeting tomorrow of all things with Bill McCready of AMR. And so again, all conversations are on the table, and the more input that this board can gather, the better.
Great.
Those were excellent comments, and
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
two separate issues in my mind, you know, mutual aid versus the expansion of aid. So again, thank you, sir.
My name is Walt Bachman. I'm a resident of the town of DeWitt. I was just wondering, is there any updates on the expansion of the town of DeWitt solar farm? I know our friend Jack Dooling was getting bids or whatever on that, filling the other 33 acres with solar panels. Possible benefit town of DeWitt residents.
Yeah, we have not gone to RFP on that, but that is one of the projects in the queue of many of the projects that we have hopes that we initiate in the future. But the community solar farm is again, a project. There's a number of projects that we would like to complete. Unfortunately, we can't do everything all at the same time. But a loss of Jack is obviously something that hurts when it comes to pushing that project forward. But because he was devoting time and energy towards that. But again, that's in our queue. I'd like to see it go forward. I think most of the folks on this board. We currently have a 2.6 megawatt solar farm that's producing electricity for the town's facilities. The project that this man is referencing is one that would build or expand that solar farm and allow residents to purchase community power off of that farm. And so yeah.
And the fact that the town would benefit from leasing the land, not having to cut the grass, it seems like a win-win-win all the way down the line. I myself would appreciate it if they could move that up on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. We actually do cut the grass around the solar farm. We have a landfill underneath and the lining is dependent on shallow rooted vegetation. So mowing is necessary so that larger plants don't invade the site and break that barrier. Anyone else? Sorry. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Gretchen Vaught. I'm a resident of the town. I sent you an email last week.
Yes.
Very unfortunate. So just to give a little context to those who are not maybe aware, the town runs an awesome camp at JV Middle School, summer camp for students, I believe kindergarten through 8th grade or maybe 1st through 8th grade. And it's a familiar environment for my son who has Down syndrome and who attends that school. Many of the kids from our community attend that camp. It's entirely recreational. So there's no academic goals that are being taught at the camp. I registered my son back in April for the camp and disclosed that he has Down syndrome. And he so we've lived in this community for 2 years, moved here from 10 hours away. And shortly after we moved, my 3 elderly children were babysitting my son. And all of them were distracted, and he managed to walk out the front door of our home while my husband and I were running on the Erie Canal Trail together. And took us a while to get back because we were down the trail. And so our son, we got Town of DeWitt police involved, and he was gone for 3 hours. And you may be aware of that, it was in the news. Tragic and very, very scary for me. So he wears an ankle bracelet which he acquired through an awesome program called Project Lifesaver. And should he ever elope again, he could be located within 60 seconds. So this facilitates his ability to participate in his community because it's the only thing that keeps him from being an otherwise neurotypical citizen of this community. He's very sociable, he's very communicative, he follows the rules and boundaries. He is not a child that doesn't participate or doesn't wander off unless he's unsupervised or unless the leaders of the group do not drop in. So my position is that that was not happening. He was singled out on day 2. He was asked to leave and told that there was no space for him at the camp. And that he needed a one-on-one aid, which I disagree with, and I gave reasons for why that was the case. And I asked if they could put a couple of very simple things in place. And You know, he's a child just like any other, and the only way he can form relationships in this new community is to be part of his community. I've subsequently spoken to a couple of teenagers who have been counselors at camps that my son has been part of, including the Town of DeWitt camp. And they confirmed my suspicions without any provocation on my part. They offered to me that when there is an aide one-on-one with a student with disabilities, which let me add that is sometimes the right choice. If a student has or a camper has significant disabilities that affect mobility or their medical needs, they need a one-on-one. This is not my child. But I spoke with these high school counselors and they said, when there is an older student or camper, counselor, or an adult, God forbid, with a child, it alienates that child from the rest of the campers. Whereas when there is a facilitation among a smaller group, say 5 or 6 kids, right? Then they're much more likely to go play with these kids. Here, get involved. Hey, why don't you come over here, right? There are some very simple tools that can be more inclusive. And I come here today because on day 2, my son was asked to leave. I believe that the leaders of the camp were not being inclusive-minded. They saw that he has Down syndrome, which is obvious. And from day 1, they believed that it was too much of a burden. Fast forward a couple of weeks, they allowed him to stay because I came and advocated for them. I thought that they were going to be my advocates. I thought they were going to take my recommendations and keep me informed if there were any issues so that we could, parent at home with anything that popped up that hopefully any parent would be doing for a child that is attending a camp. And 2 weeks later, I was told that they went on a nature walk. And while on the nature walk, this is all documented in what I've shared with you. There were high schoolers in the front of this group of campers and high schoolers in the back of the group of campers on the nature walk. My son was somewhere in the middle, and my position is they allowed him to be unsupervised, which I said would be a problem. And he thought he was gone for 5 minutes. Why they did not call Project Lifesaver, I don't know. He was right there, but they couldn't see him because he was wearing a black hoodie. It was the day when it was 55 degrees outside and he came to camp in a hoodie. When we asked him, why were you not with the rest of the campers? He said, I was looking for animals. That's what they were supposed to be doing. So in his mind, he was doing what he was outside to be doing. When he got back, we were called. My husband had to pick him up because I was on a work call and couldn't break away. And we were told that he created an unsafe environment for himself, agreed. An unsafe environment for the other campers, disagreed. And an unsafe environment for the camp counselors, supervisors. And the only thing that I could possibly agree with that last point is that they freaked out, rightly so. A child is missing. And a neurotypical kid could wander off and go look for rabbits or whatever he was doing. But because my son has Down syndrome, he was asked to leave the camp and could not come back. And I would say that it's because he was asked to leave on the second day that the hostile environment, if I may use so strong a word, was already created. And the counselors were told this child should have a one-on-one. So these high school counselors are thinking, oh, this kid needs one-on-one, right? So there's a barrier. And we did remove my son from the camp because I'm not going to force my children on anyone. But I don't want them to be in an environment where they're not welcome. But we live here. We pay taxes here. And I see one of the things I love about New York is that it is inclusive. You see people with all shapes, sizes, colors, abilities in this community. Many don't speak English. I love that. I like my kids growing up in this. And I am bringing this to your attention because I believe that you are in a position.
I have received the email. I've been in and out the last couple of weeks over a number of family and other related issues. I will circulate that email to the board. We intend to discuss this and act upon this. I have talked to the recreation director. The timeline that you lay out is probably very similar, but there are some details that she's stated that somewhat shift the position of what you stated. So we need to weigh all the options. I will state to you how supportive we are of inclusion. This board has supported the Carrier Park project. It's the home of Syracuse Challenger baseball. It's the one and only all-inclusive parks that we're aware of in the country. So we couldn't agree with you and your goals and your motives anymore, and we'll do whatever we can to help. That said, our program and these high school students that work it are not fully trained in this area. We surely could have made mistakes, and that's likely. But I don't know how we resolve it at this point. So, I apologize that I haven't responded to you yet. It's been about a week or more. And like I say, I've been in and out, and it's been a number of options, but we'll attempt to resolve this in the most amicable way.
I'd like to be clear as well. I appreciate that. I'm not here to create problem. We've moved on from this situation. But I think that very simple things could be put in place to be more inclusive next year. And I'm not stating that the town of DeWitt camp is the right camp for every child. Unfortunately, it's just not. But I am saying that a child that has otherwise the ability to be included, like my son, I can only speak to my son.
Yeah.
And I believe that he can be, and I believe that, I think the situation was handled poorly, which I trust that you will, make whatever amends need to be made. But the idea that a camper, high school counselors need special training to babysit children, that's all we're asking them to do. Keep your eyes on them and keep them alive and make sure that they, are participating, have the opportunity to participate in recreation. This is, these kids, in terms of they could become parents. They physically can become parents. So it doesn't require special training. In the school, to teach academic concepts, absolutely, need special training to teach what's needed for children with different learning needs. But that's not the case here. And if there was even one more staff member, maybe, so that you have a 1-on-6 or 1-on-5, that can make the difference.
Right. Again, those are all the things we need to look at.
And I'm hoping you will for next year. Yes, sir.
And I apologize for coming in midpoint of your sharing. May I ask how old your son is?
14.
14.
Yeah.
Okay, and is he a student in the Janesville DeWitt School District?
Yes, he goes to JD Middle. That was one reason that I chose the camp, because I thought it would be familiar, and I knew that there would be a lot of kids that live here and go to school who we would know.
Okay, and with his being at the school and or perhaps with an IEP, is
Yes.
is this his first year in the middle school?
No, it's his second year.
His second year, okay.
Well, he'll be going into his third year, so he went
Yes.
6th, 7th, and now 8th grade.
And the reason I'm asking these questions is I have a heart insensitivity. My family was blessed that my oldest and only brother was born with mental retardation. My mother delivered him in Florida in the 50s at the Brewster Hospital for Colored People. That's the name of the hospital. You can look it up. The nurses would not deliver the babies if the African-American women were ready to deliver. They would hold the babies in if they crowned for the baby to be delivered because they had to wait until the white doctors were dressed to come in to deliver the baby so that the white doctors could be paid. My mother was ready to deliver. And my brother had started to breathe, and because of oxygen deprivation, suffered mental retardation. My mother in the 50s made the decision when they said, you can send him to St. Augustine, to the Florida School for Idiots, said, my son has a home. And my brother was raised with us, loved by us, traveled amusement parks, state fairs, that when he could not walk, my father carried him over the bridge back to the parking lot. My heart is with you. And from what I heard when I came in, I know that myself and the rest of us are going to see to do what needs to be done. So that not only your son, but that all children are welcome and enjoyed and have a full experience in this area, JD. Because as you said, we are a global community. And I thank you for sharing and advocating for your special son, because every family is not fortunate enough to love a special child. Thank you.
But through camp, they can play with them. Become friends. Thank you.
Have you looked into Challenger, or does he participate in Challenger yet or no?
This is the year that we would like to get him involved. Yeah, so we're actually, that's been recommended to us. We'll look into
Yeah,
it.
help, let me know.
Okay, I would love that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. You circulate the email too? I should have done that.
What's your, you have your address?
Anyone else?
You give your address to after.
Yes.
Joe, we'll have the email.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, with that, I'll ask the clerk to take the roll
Supervisor Mike Blanco,
here.
Counselors Alex,
Here.
Fiorenza,
Here.
Hood, Mannion,
Here.
and Ruckdeschell.
Here.
Hey. Let's start right at the top, the change orders for Carrier Park. Doug, can you run through those for us? And this is the complex that we're building for the all-inclusive park. And
Big fan.
Okay, Brock and I have both been following this, we haven't been intimately involved in it, but I can give updates here. To the best of my knowledge, so there was, if you go down to the bottom, they've got, anticipated change orders. So nothing has been formally authorized yet, but, the first item is a change in the type of dugouts at the site. And Ella Osborne had agreed that the dugouts were comparable and that was a good credit to take. Storm line relocation. And I mean, the details on this would probably be best provided by Ella Osborne, but when they were laying out the press box area, there was a bust in the location of the storm line. So the storm line had to be moved around the foundation of the press box, was my understanding. Structural steel design, that's in the press box. And there was a bust on the structural drawings. And the contractor and the construction manager caught it, and there was a redesign by the structural engineer on the site, and that was the impact. The undercutting, I believe there were several memos from Kenny Geotechnical that indicated what was going on with the undercutting. And the project was moved forward. There was a range of anticipated costs from the soils out there. Some of the soils were able to be dried up. Other soils were organic in nature and had to be removed. And I believe they tracked this on a continuing basis. And there was a range of an impact at one point. I think the max that they had talked about was 1.5 million. And the low was like, don't hold me to it, but like 700,000. But I think to get more detail than that, the scope and recommendations for the change orders have all gone to Appel Osborne and have been coordinated by Richard Gardner.
I thought we've seen a summary, and if that hasn't been circulated to the board, I'm gonna ask.
Wait, is that this morning?
No, I sent it Friday, I think. it was.
Yeah, well,
I got it.
okay, seeing it's only been in your lap for a couple of days, we'll defer any decisions on this, but I do want you to know it was at a significant cost.
Was Thursday.
I'm gonna forward this to the board, Angela. Forward it right now.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Just from a high level, I looked at the email. So do you have a schedule for the entire, all those change orders you just read off?
You're gonna see it.
Okay.
yeah, that's what I thought was circulated.
Okay, it may have been, I just don't, I'm not.
And there's been individual circulation for months on each one of these. So there's been a barrage of emails that either from Tim Bonaparte or Taylor Goldthwait out of Appel Osborne, and Terry Summers has sent emails on a number of occasions that outline these. What I'll do is this one that was just recently sent was a summary of all of them. You'll have 2 weeks to review those in the next couple of weeks, and we'll bring this back to the agenda for discussion. It was at a significant, some of them are cost savings. There's change, but those are minor, where we switched out different pieces and got a savings. But the soils themselves, and we talked about this again a couple months ago, it was an extremely wet spring. And so we were able to dry some of the soils through layering. The construction was taking place in stages. And so much of the soil, or any of the soil that could be saved and built upon to provide the structural base for the park, was saved. There was a great added expense because about $1 million of material had to be brought in to formulate a safe base. The last thing you want to do is build an athletic park and then have it rain 2 years from now and the soils fill up with water and the whole thing buckles. And so the structural engineers said that all these changes were necessary in order to protect the park from future heavy rain events, snow and ice going forward. So our climate, water expands when it freezes. So you get it in the ground, you've got it below a turf field, the ice expands and buckles or causes cracks or folds in the turf. So anyways, all this was driven by the potential of future problems from a weather standpoint. And our geotechnical engineers have put together a plan that protects us from that. And it, again, came at a great expense. I do know that the team, Terry, Doug, Tim, are working with the contractors to negotiate a reduced rate on some of this as well. So I'll bring back all the details. Most of it's outlined in that summary. If it's not clear in the summary, we'll rework the information that you have so that you can make a decision. What we need is an approval on those change orders. And so I do think you had no choice. But right.
Questions.
Right. Yep, I'm writing that down right now too on my notes. So Matt's recommending we have Appel Osborne come explain.
Let's talk about that spot.
Okay, with that, authorize a bid for sewer routing removal service. For what it's worth, the town of DeWitt gets about a half dozen, sanitary sewer overflows a year. And a good, I'm going to say 5 out of 6 of those are caused by roots. And so what I've asked Doug and Rock to put together is a rotation where we go through the entire sewer system on a regular basis so that every 7 years, roughly, somewhere's in that area, about 5 to 7, 8, 10 years, whatever the experts think is necessary so that all neighborhoods are rooted. The sewer lines and trees tend to find sewers and they look for, believe it or not, it's air as much as it is water that benefits a tree when they get into a sewer line. And so if we stay on top of this, we can, not that a half dozen is a lot. The city of Syracuse has over 4,000 a year. City of Syracuse is much larger, but it's a bigger system and it's older, but a lot of our elderly neighborhoods too have the same issues. So anyways, what this authorization will do is authorize Doug to go to bid on that service. We're looking to get a contractor in place. Now, he's got to work with Matt on this because typically we don't go longer than 5 years on a contract. Our preferred path is usually 3 years with 2 one-year extensions if practical. And so this program would be, I'm guessing, right around 7 years, maybe longer, to go through the whole town sewer system and then come back 7 years later. If your sewer line was rooted today, it would take a tree about 7, 8 years to cause a problem in your sewer again. And so we'd have to come back. So anyways, that's any questions, or that's what I'm asking. And we don't know what the cost would be, but all that would come out of the sewer special district. Entertain a motion if there's no discussion. I have a motion from Carrie, a second from Joe. I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion's carried. Thank you. Okay. Ange, authorization to hire a clerk too?
Yep, so I circulated the resume for Benjamin Hodge, and I'm proposing to recommend him for the position of clerk 2 in the town clerk's office. Starting salary would be $20.44 per hour, which is grade 6, step 1. And I coordinated with Carrie for a start date on August 11th.
Is that the grade that all the clerk 2s are on?
Yes. I'll verify that it's.
Yeah,
not
just
top, But I'm
just verify that it's
Yeah,
the
the
correct
clerk
grade
2.
for clerk 2.
2044, yeah.
Any other questions? Resumes in your packet. I'll entertain a motion from Max, a second from Sarah. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Motion's carried. Okay. Town board minutes of July 14th and July 18th. We'll go with the 4th. Do you need a separate resolutions?
I think you can do them together.
Together is.
Yeah.
Okay. Entertain a motion for the 14th from Carrie, a second from
Never heard of it.
Bernard. Any further discussion?
I need to abstain from the 18th.
So we'll do them separate. Yeah, we'll do the 14th first. I got Carrie and Bernard for first and second. I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion's carried. I got Carrie and Bernard for the first and second on the 18th. I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? We got one abstention. Okay. Matt, revised standard workday, Angela?
Yeah, the board has already seen this from me. I didn't report 4 days. February being a short month, and then Martin Luther King Day and New Year's Day. And so for the pension, I have to add extra days on the back end of my reporting, which I did and revised it so that they can calculate the right calculations for me, which Angela has confirmed. And this should hopefully be the last time that I do this with the town board. And thank you for your patience. And hopefully I can retire someday.
But not tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion from Sarah and a second from Bernard. Call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Okay. These are separate issues too, right? The water refunds.
No, I think these are all just check.
Yeah, you
Oh,
do them all
They're
together.
all, okay, all right, so we got the check register warrant. I'll entertain a motion. From Carrie, a second. From Joe, any discussion? Guys, look at the warrants. That's where Jack would have had a comment.
I did send one comment.
Okay, all right.
I was looking, I was sorry.
Jack was shaking you. All right.
I sent a comment to our town attorney, our town.
Okay, all right, I've got a motion in a second. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed, abstained, motion's carried. All right, a couple of late things came in. Did you see the brush quotes, the letter, the printing costs on the brush quotes? It was a couple $100 cheaper, but the Kananko company won or had the lowest cost on the printing for the brush quote.
Just for printing letter, yeah.
Yeah, just for printing the letter and mailing it. I'd like to have the
Yes.
authorization to print that letter.
Okay, but
Okay, I'll have a motion from Bernard, a second from Carrie. I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
I,
Opposed, abstained, motion's carried. And I also circulated the Hamlet 2 zoning. And I've gotten no feedback, no comments. I'd like to recommend that to the planning board, which is going to take a little while to review. And the major question, I believe, is the parcels that are included in that zone change. So you need to look at those maps. And we've got time. So I'm only asking today, is it okay if I send that to the planning board? I do think it needs a little bit of look at the language too, the introductory language. I minimize that. I just
sure the planning board will have lots of comments on
I
that.
just wanted to get it out and move it.
Process started up.
Get it out and move it. So I think legal needs to look at it. You guys need to look at the language and you need to look at the map and see that I was all inclusive. It's always easier to delete than it is to add. So it's a very large territory. There are questionable properties on the south side of Route 173 you might not want to include. There's the issue we've talked about with the penitentiary. So there's a number of questions to be had, but is it okay to forward that to the planning board?
So
Yeah.
it's involved in the discussion.
That's the process.
Do,
Yeah.
how, will this be coming out of left field or do they anticipate some people in the town already?
They know,
Okay,
both Nate and Alana at least know, but
yeah, we don't, okay.
okay. And again, we've got the business owner on Jamesville.
Yep.
Needs some action on this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
She reached out to me too.
Yeah, any town board updates? None. All right, again, I'd like to thank you all for your attendance. We have a couple of contractual items we need to discuss in executive session. And so with that, I'll entertain a motion to enter executive session. From Max, a second. From Joe, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed, abstained, motion's carried. Thank you.